what would you say to persons who say chiropractic is nonsense?
People are gonna say anything is nonsense. They might even say that chiropractors cause harm, but then why? I would say then why is our malpractice so low? Why would anybody insure us for so low? Why when you go to any other provider, they got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars just to insure themselves because they kill people.
Hi, welcome to another episode of A Trying Life, an online series dedicated to trying new things. And today, we're with Dr. Randall Thompson. How are you doing?
Never been better my whole life.
All right. So today, we're going to get into a little bit of your journey, right? We're going to start young Randall. We're going to find out how you got into chiropractic, what are the challenges you faced along the way, and where you are now. All right. So let's get started. Tell me a little bit about your early life.
Okay, so I started off, well, my dad's a chiropractor, so I was pretty much born in it. I got my first adjustment fresh out the womb. My dad is from Bahamas, so he was an immigrant. He was over here. He started practicing in Miami. Wasn't working out for him. Went to Bahamas. Mm-hmm. After Bahamas, wasn't working out. Ended up in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. New Orleans is one of the last states, the last state to be legalized for chiropractors to practice. The laws were a little different, and bringing chiropractic there was new, so he was able to get a lot of patients and grow his business there. Then we ended up coming back to Miami. Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, he would put things around me that would push me to be advanced in science and math. So because he knew to get to become a doctor, chiropractic, or any type of person in a healthcare or physician, you would need to be able to understand these things and be good at them. Sure. So I was advanced in science, and I was around and stuff, and I was always in his office from when I was a kid. And I would see patients come in, and I would see patients go out, coming in looking horrible and coming out looking amazing.
All right. At what age would you say you got your first hands-on practice when it came to chiropractic?
I would say my first hands-on practice would probably be adjusting him or practice adjusting him probably like around teenage years, probably like 16, 17 mm-hmm. in that age range. And started off, wasn't good, of course, just like most things. But he was able to help me get that not so good stage out earlier. Mm-hmm. So that's how I started off. And from then I just kept going and going and going. Just like anything else, you got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And eventually one day you'll be somewhat solid, and then you will become an expert. Say 10,000 hours, right? Right. I put my time in.
So hold on. How nerve-wracking was it?
Very.
First time.
Very, very nerve-wracking because nerve-wracking and frustrating. Because it's like he's trying to tell you how to do something, and it's your dad. That's how it is. Even if you tell me like to weed eat the grass, I'm doing that wrong, right? So it's like, man, you try to tell me something, I'm doing this wrong, and it's what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. I didn't plan on cutting the grass, so it didn't really bother me that I wasn't good at it. I only care about, well, I'm not gonna say I only care about, but my main focus is things that I'm good at. I try not to do other things. Yeah. If I'm not good, I don't really care. But it was nerve-wracking because it was just like, yeah. But my first actual adjustment for somebody's neck was in chiropractic school. I adjusted one of my colleagues now, and that was very nerve-wracking because the neck, it scares a lot of people. But once I did that, it really broke me out of the fear mm-hmm. of...
And how long did that take?
That was the first year of chiropractic school, for quarter one. So we're not supposed to start adjusting until quarter 5, mm-hmm. but I was adjusting prior to. Mm. And so it's like, let me get it out the way early. It's a lot of other people who do that as well. But the people who wait till quarter 5, to me, aren't very good adjusters.
Okay. So you had the influence of your father.
Correct.
Being a chiropractor, right? Did you know that this is what you wanted to do at a young age?
No.
You didn't?
I wanted to be an actor.
An actor?
Yeah. Mm.
But, so even though your father was training you early to get into this line of work, you had other things that you wanted to accomplish?
Yeah. I was like, he'd take me, like we younger, he'd take me to watch Van Damme movies and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. I want to be on the TV screen like that. I was always into martial arts and stuff like that. So it's like, that's what I've always been into. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is what I want to be. And then I did some acting early on, didn't work out for me. I just let it go.
Mm-hmm. And then second nature, you just went into chiropractic.
Correct. It was right there. It was easy, mm-hmm. right? It was easy to go that route mm-hmm. instead of trying to push to go do something else. I even tried to talk to somebody about acting when I graduated from undergrad, but it was a very weird situation. Mm-hmm. And I said, Hollywood is for y'all boys. I just left it alone, man. No Hollywood for me. I'll leave it like that.
All right. So walk us a little bit through your journey, your college journey.
So my college journey, I went to Florida A&M, which is in Tallahassee. I was a biology major, chemistry minor. And college was challenging, to say the least, because it's the first time you get your independence, the first time you get to not go to college, not go to class if you don't want to. And you can make all the excuses in the world. Any excuse you want, fine. You want to play hooky, it's on you. But then you also get those same results.
Exactly.
Which is somewhat close to the real world. But the real world is even rougher. You don't want to go to work, you don't get paid, you have to now sleep outside.
Different consequences.
Different consequences. A bad grade, yes, but it somewhat preps you for the real world. And FAMU prepped me, I think, more than other institutions did, because it was so much bureaucracy there. Like if you needed to get financial aid, it was challenging unless you knew the right person. Right. So if you it taught me, like, know the right person and you get through a lot of stuff a lot smoother. So
you learned that early.
You learn that early. Yeah. Like you think you could just go there, wait in line. No, man, find out who's in the back. You get to know them, they get you out. Because the people at the front, they don't care about your goals. They don't care about your aspirations. They don't care what you want to be. They will let you sit in line and they will let you suffer. So that showed me early on, meeting people is extremely important in anything in life, and any goals you're trying to get taken care of.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And it's good that you learned that early.
Correct.
Because personal experience and other persons I know who aren't necessarily as sociable in our early lives as we should have been, we found that it was a hindrance. You know what I mean? And while you're in college learning that, if you know somebody in the back, then you can, when you get out into, as you say, real world situations and you realize that this is how it is, sometimes it's like kind of playing catch up, and it's difficult. But that's good that you learned that early. What are some of the key things you took from your FAMU experience, though?
Well, that was definitely one of the key things, but it was also HBCU. So it's like you get to be around Black people that are the future Black lawyers, future Black doctors, future Black politicians of America, right? We had somebody who went to our school who ran for governor, not very proud of his actions, but he lived a little different. But he went to FAMU. The commissioner of this zone that we're in now, Keon Hardeman, he went to FAMU. There's tons of lawyers, and it's tons of, even, Will Packer, he went to FAMU. There's a lot of influential people that went to our institution, and it also teaches you to make sure you get that network as well. You have to keep meeting people, and it teaches you also that you aren't the only one that's doing something, because every once in a while, once you're doing some stuff or you get caught up in I'm the big dog, everybody needs to know me. No, you need to know other people, because other people are going to take you where you need to be.
Yeah, that's so true.
So,
okay. So you studied biology at
correct.
FAMU. So after leaving FAMU, what happened after?
So after that, I was pretty much without a job, trying to find a job, and trying to go to chiropractic school at the same time. It took a while for me to go in. I could have went to another school in Davenport, Iowa, but that's where my dad went. But I wasn't dealing with that cold. I couldn't do that, And then there was another school in Marietta, but I felt like due to the fact that my focus was so off in Tallahassee, I just knew living in Atlanta was going to be a struggle for me. So I said, let me go to school in Port Orange. There's nothing there. And I'll be focused and I'll get out and I won't have any problems, which is what happened. But it was a little waiting list. And in that meantime, it's like I was going to be a food inspector. I applied for the job. I got the interview and I smashed the interview, the first one. The second one, they was like, oh, you got all this chiropractic stuff, so why don't you just go to chiropractic school? Well, I knew I was going to chiropractic school anyways, but they looked at that and they saw I wasn't going to be long term, so I didn't get the job. So I never really had a job outside of this.
Okay. And
working security at a club in Tallahassee.
Oh, you did security?
Yeah, a club called Mount Zion. It was the only.
That was a short term, right?
that was. I mean, it was cool because it taught me not to like the club no more. I tell you that, because you in there, you get to see a lot of stupid stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was it, man. I never really knew taking orders.
But did you always know you wanted to own your own business?
I knew I wanted to own multiple. So because I knew I got a lot of ideas and I think differently. And I'd rather, if it's the mistake, let it fall on me, opposed to the mistake, and now you're getting reprimanded and some other stuff.
I got you. Yeah.
You know.
So at what point along your timeline did you decide to open Miami Spine?
So when I first started practicing, when I was in chiropractic school, right? My dad, I was telling him, yo, we need a website. And he was like, what are we gonna call it? He was like, my dad is this office called Thompson Chiropractic, right? And he was like, let's call it RubenThompsonDC.com. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not catchy. So I was like, let's call it MiamiSpineClinic.com. And it was available. Something so basic.
Yeah, so just, okay.
Keep it simple. He was using it, but then he wasn't really using the website. So then I called myself Miami Spine because I was like, okay, boom. And then he didn't want the website, gave me the website. I took the website, coined Miami Spine when I was working in his office. So that was my Instagram name, that was everything. So that's why people know me. They see me out in public, they'll say, hey, Miami Spine, or they're out of Miami. So I'm known as that. So it was available, I took it and I used it and created a logo, and that's what we've been going at. So, but even when I was working with him, my dad doesn't pay, so, you Jamaican, the Caribbean parents don't like to pay. They'll let you go. You can eat whatever you kill though. So he gave me the opportunity because long term, he probably knew that was the better move for me anyways. Yeah. I wanted a salary plus bonus because that's what all my friends were getting, right? They were getting money and I'm like, yo, I don't have any money is what I was saying. He's like, you got to stop thinking negative. You got to stop saying you don't have money. The reason you don't have money is because you say you don't have money. Like words of affirmation, speaking positivity and stuff like that. But I didn't understand that concept, but he would keep drilling it on me. But even when I was a kid on the way to school, he would take me to school all the time. So he would play Think and Grow Rich. He would play books with positivity and things of that nature. So I would have that stuff going with me in the back of my mind, even though I didn't know it. But he would be on me. It wasn't until I understood those concepts that's when I really was like, I need my own space to operate creativity, with my own creativity, making content and all those things of that nature.
So with marketing a business nowadays, it's totally different from how we used to do it back in the day, right?
Correct.
When you got into business, how did you decide on your strategy, one, and how long did it take for you to start seeing regular clients?
So when I first started practicing, I had no business whatsoever. And my dad is he was coming up in the Mercedes 80s, right? You put up your sign and people come in. There was no real TV and all that type of stuff grabbing attention at the same rate that it is now. So he would say, find a lawyer with the biggest ad in the phone book and go call them. And I'm calling all these lawyers and nobody's speaking to me. He's like, no, you got to go in their office. So I started going in their office. He told me, go stand at hospitals, go walk up and down 7th Avenue, just walk in places. Every day on the way to work, you got to drop off 10 cards in 10 different businesses, whatever. So it's like the hand-to-hand stuff is how I started off, because then I had a dude I met at the flea market. He said he passed out my flyers for $25. And then stuff started rolling. Then I started with the social media. And social media wasn't really kicking off for me like that, but I've always been on social media. I've always been on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Well, Twitter and Facebook, not so much Instagram. I got on Instagram late, actually. My wife actually made me get more into Instagram opposed to Twitter and Facebook is where I was at. And I was like, I was getting some business, but not like that. Now the majority of my business comes from Instagram. That's what people know me from. Okay. And I got a lot of, then I was like, okay, well, I seen TikTok. And just like any other social media, when a new one pops off, I'm like, that's stupid. Right? I'm like, that's stupid. Why would I go there? But then I started seeing people grow legs from TikToks, and I was like, somebody teach me how to do it. And I had somebody coach me on that. And then now it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. I'm everywhere. Even trying to build up my LinkedIn. Nice. So once I saw that work, then I saw, okay, well, because I put money into the TV. I've been on TV, and it didn't give me a return at all because there's so much competition on TV.
That's true.
You're competing with lawyers and all these other 1-800 numbers, con artists and things of that nature. But once I hit social media, that was like what I told you earlier when we had that conversation. The fast beats the slow. That's true. Because social media is, so you got to be fast. You don't got to be big. You can be fast and you can still get a lot of work done.
So we're going to get into a little bit of how structurally Miami Spine became what it is now.
Okay.
So how you got the building, the space, all the setup that we have downstairs, equipment, etc. How hard was that? What were the challenges?
The challenges, getting real estate in Miami is challenging because people, especially in this area. I came about this space maybe like 2-3 years ago, but I've been looking for a while. Mm-hmm. So when I've been looking, it's like these buildings in this area. You used to be able to buy this stuff. Like, let's say if you was to say 2014, 15, when I first graduated, a lot of this stuff was going for sale for 90,000, 100-something thousand. Mm-hmm. Now in Little Haiti, Liberty City, this area, you're not finding anything under $1 million, right? You lucky if you do, mm-hmm. right? And it was just challenging to even get rent. My dad was paying $500 a month back in the day, $400 a month for his space, right? Now, if you want to rent commercial space, you paying $4 or $5 grand a month, starting off, and that's for 1,000 square feet in Miami. Meanwhile, I get paid reimbursed. Well, a lot of providers now get reimbursed less than the providers back then. So how do you create a business model around that? It's challenging, mm-hmm. So and my dad always pushed keeping the overhead low. So my overhead was low when I was working with him, even though he didn't have $500 rent when I was working there. I was splitting the rent with him, so my overhead was always low. So I was able to amass a certain amount of capital to essentially fund my own business and my own space. And my wife's actually a designer, so a lot of stuff you may see around here, she created a lot of stuff, and she had the contractors come in and make it look a certain way. So that was another way to cut overhead.
Okay. And you mentioned overheads. Running a business like a chiropractic business, right? Would you say your overhead costs, because I like to get into costs, as far as like when people are moving into business, what is the startup costs and the overheads to run the business?
To run a chiropractic business, you really need no money though. That's the thing, right? I could set up a table outside and start adjusting people. I just need my hands. As long as I got my hands and a license, I'm good. So, but it's like when you want to do other modalities and things that help with pain, that's when the stuff costs, right? Equipment can cost you north of $5,000. Decompression tables, I don't even have those, but I've seen a decompression table for $75,000. Other things cost north of that. So it really just depends on the bells and whistles and what you believe in as far as philosophy, which is going to determine how much you're going to actually put into your practice for your patients.
All right. So why did you take the more expensive route?
Well, I wouldn't say this is the more expensive route. I would say this is the route that made sense because it was similar to where I was at. So I just started adding different things, mm-hmm. And I know that patients require certain levels of care. So I'm like, you got to at least hit the standard like this, and then you could add more things once the business essentially pays for it. And then that would be the patients could get more things for themselves, mm-hmm. and better ways to get people out of pain, because you got to get them better. Because if you don't get them better, they're not coming back. But it's crazy because if you do get them better, they're still not coming back.
Yeah, that's true. So what kind of patients do you normally see?
I see all types of patients, right? Mm-hmm. So chiropractors are just straight out the womb up until on the way out, right? So, but my typical patient is in my age demographic because anywhere from 25 to 45, that's the normal patient that I would see on a daily basis. But they come in with a range of issues. It depends on whatever I give information about, and then people will seek it out for me. Like I treat headaches, and headaches come from multiple things, right? Headache can come from neck tension, traps, mm-hmm. or anything like that. It could also come from nutrition. Mm-hmm. So what you eat can also cause headaches, and people don't know that. They think that they have headaches because they have a lack of aspirin or BC powder. I adjusted a patient that had a headache yesterday, a couple of days ago, and she's been on all types of medication for years, and I got rid of her headache in minutes. And she didn't understand that concept, and she's actually been to other chiropractors, but she didn't even get adjusted because all chiropractors don't adjust. Some of them do a bunch of nonsense, mm-hmm. because they're trying to get money. They're trying to do what pays the most, but you got to take care of the patient first. That's what's most important. We also treat all types of joint issues, mobility issues. Mm-hmm. Mainly, the chiropractic has the term, we've been deemed the low back experts, but the actual first chiropractic adjustment, quote unquote, chiropractic, because we can go back to even before chiropractic, there was ancient bone setters in ancient Egypt. So with the father of medicine, Emotep, and all that type of stuff. So, but if we stay right here based on American chiropractic, right, or that was a Canadian, the first documented adjustment was a guy named Harvey Litter. It was a black guy. He was deaf. He got adjusted. He got his hearing back. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what they documented it as. So it was never documented as a low back pain fixer because they adjusted the upper cervical. So in the neck, up here, up top. You know, some chiropractors believe, because chiropractic has a lot of different nuances. It's some people who practice, they only adjust at the base of the skull, the occiput, C1 and C2, which is the first cervical and second cervical, because they feel that that's all that matters. Everything else works off of that. Other people work on something called SOT, where they work mainly on your sacrum and the occiput, so top and the bottom. And then myself, I adjust everything. Any shoulder, any joint, knees, elbows, ears, you know, you name it.
So is it that you offer a holistic health, or your approach is holistic health as opposed to just focusing on the spine?
I think they're both the same though. So you need, because what you eat can cause inflammation. And with treating inflammation, then you're gonna need to take care of yourself holistically, along with the adjustment. So it's like, you gotta look at the body as a whole. If you look at just one thing, then I don't think you're a good provider. You know, so I got patients that come in, it's like, let's say if somebody's obese, okay, I could treat your low back pain, but you're sitting down all the time, you're not exercising, you got weak glutes. I recently had somebody leave a bad review because I said they had weak glutes, so they need to strengthen their glutes. And he said I was body shaming them, right? This is what I deal with in my profession. Good. Somebody says I'm body shaming them because I said they had weak glutes, but there's a syndrome called lower cross syndrome when you have an anterior pelvic tilt because you have weak glutes and weak hamstrings, which a lot of people do. You walk around Walmart, where you don't live here in America, but if you ever walk around Walmart, you're gonna see these old people walking around like this, weak glutes, shoulders coming forward. This is what we have. So you need to correct your phasic muscles, which are a lot of the muscles in the posterior, to get your posture back upright and get your your pelvis tilted the right way, and that would also help with some low back pain and even some upper back pain. So it's a new era of treating people when you have everybody feels like they're supposed to get the same thing every place they go, and if you don't give it to them the same way, they're gonna find something wrong with it, and they're gonna feel the need to express it to the world, but not to you. Even if it's good. If it's good, they won't tell you, they'll tell the world, maybe. Or they would tell nobody. But if it's bad, they feel like, I must tell the world.
Everyone, right.
They have to know about this injustice of me having weak glutes is body shaming. But no, if your glutes are weak, you gotta fix it. If your hips are tight, you gotta work on the mobility. It's not a body shaming thing, it's just what needs to be done.
All right, so I want to get into a little bit of how the spine works.
Okay.
The different sections, cervical, thoracic, and lumbar.
Okay.
And sacrum, and coccyx, that's how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want like a little demonstration of how the spine works.
All right, I got you. All right, so let's grab our spine right here. All right. So cervical, right? This is the occiput. Like I tell you, some chiropractors just adjust that part. So you got occiput, and you got atlas and axis. So the atlas and axis are the only two ones that actually allow you to rotate. So people think their whole neck is moving, but in actuality, you see, this doesn't move. This doesn't rotate.
Right.
It does do flexion extension, which is forward and backwards. But your thoracic can rotate and go forward. Not so much, but it can rotate just a little bit. The lumbar actually doesn't rotate. So people think when they turn in their low back and they're doing this, it's actually not. So you can not rotate, but it does go forward and backward and side to side, right? So the spine is made perfect. It's not what people think it does though. So, and then we got the coccyx, which is the bottom. It has a lot of nerves in it. And you got the sacrum, where a lot of nerves come out of that as well. When the sacrum is off, it could throw everything off. The coccyx is where you see a lot of these chiropractors sticking fingers in butts and stuff like that. This is what they're actually trying to contact. Now, I don't do that, but when this goes forward, they pull that back, and that would actually relieve a lot of pain on people. Now, some people just do it for fun, but that's them. So this is what a normal spine would look like. Women actually have different shaped hips. Their hips are more wider
Right.
for childbirth, and a men would be more turned in and things of that nature.
As you mentioned, childbirth. What someone was telling me, like during childbirth, there's some separation of like the bone structure. Is it this section right here?
Well, yeah, it does open up a little bit, but then you also have the round ligament, which is a ligament that attaches into I believe the ASLs. I'm not sure, but women actually have a lot of pain with that, and chiropractors treat that as well. Also, a lot of sacrum pain with women in low back pain from carrying a child, because it's like walking around with a big belly all the time, and it's going to throw everything off, and it's just a huge mess for their spines. But we help with that as well.
So spinal health is very integral in overall health.
Correct.
Of the body, right?
Because if your spine isn't working, and your spine absorbs a lot of the shock, right? Whether you sit down or stand up. So if you jump up and jump down, it goes through your feet, up through your femur, all the way up to the spine. So the spine absorbs a lot of it. Whiplash, from a car accident, your spine is going to absorb that shock. Now, in some cases where people don't get any treatment, right? So it's just like a cavity, right? If you don't get any treatment for an issue that's been here for a long time, you're going to actually start to develop callus in the spine or joint mice or degeneration. This is why people develop arthritis, because they don't have any spinal maintenance. Because you're actually supposed to go and see a chiropractor the same way you go and see a dentist, and the same way women go and see their gynecologist to check and see if something's wrong. But the difference between us is if nothing's wrong, we can still actually work on you. You go into your general healthcare provider, you go see them, nothing's wrong, they send you home. Nothing wrong that they know of.
As it relates to, because I hear a lot of persons talking about like their nerves getting pinched. How does that happen?
So when we're looking at the spine, we have what we call a foramen, right? The foramen is like a little hole where the nerve comes out, right? So when this hole can be inflamed or have some type of inflammation, the actual function of the nerve may not be the same way, or it can actually cause localized pain or radiating pain. So as a chiropractor, our job is to gap the joint and try to relieve pressure on the nerve. There's been studies showing that the weight of a nerve can cause, the weight of a hair can cause 10% increase or decrease in nerve function. So let's say if you have an issue going or with a mid-back, right? So that mid-back nerve can go to your lungs. So that may help with asthma or the flu or any other disease that they might have made up via the government. So when people run around here taking all kind of medications for any diseases, you should look to the spine first, because the spine houses all the nerves and the nervous system controls the whole body. So it goes from brain, down the spinal cord, out through the nerves. That's where it all comes from. So chiropractic started, it used to be the doctor of osteopath and chiropractors were trained at the same, like essentially like the same person, like a Ken and Ryu type thing, if you know about Street Fighter, right? But the thing is, doctor of osteopaths believe that the body is controlled by blood. And the chiropractor believe that the body is controlled by the nervous system. Lo and behold, chiropractors are right. So, because before, if your heart stops beating, you can get a blood transfusion, right? But once your brain shuts off, you're gone.
True. Yeah.
So, blood is important. But at the same time, the nervous system controls it all.
Okay. So what would you say to persons who say chiropractic is nonsense?
People are going to say anything is nonsense. They might even say that chiropractors cause harm. But then why is our malpractice so low? Why would anybody insure us for so low? While when you go to any other provider, they got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars just to insure themselves, because they kill people and they kill people at a high rate. And then I could show them, like, chiropractors right now are the probably most trendy providers of all right now via social media, right? So we're legit showing you real live testimonials of people getting on our tables, feeling better and getting up and walking, and people will still say it's fake. And it's not just one chiropractor doing it. I'm not the only one on social media. It's tons of chiropractors with bigger social medias that have been doing it before me. And they got people that went to other medical providers, or what people might say is real doctors, and they're not getting any results, taking the allopathic way. And guess what? They do have a purpose. It's not to say that a medical doctor doesn't know what they're doing, but they don't know what they're doing for everything.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing for everything either. The problem is I know they don't. And neither does the public. But the AMA has been going at chiropractors forever. That's why it's been like this. When chiropractors came out, the AMA has been attacking us from the start. They've been pushing to get us locked up. That's why you might see some negative things about chiropractors. The AMA probably pushed that out. And Big Pharma. It's a lot. Like, if I got patients that come in, she's taking meds for years. We get them off the meds, right? Not saying every med, but I've got patients coming with tons of things, and we get them off medications that they've been taking for years. So why would they want us to be put out as seen as an expert of anything? They try to make us look like quacks or snake oil salesmen, what I get in my comments all the time. But how am I selling snake oil when you're just watching somebody feel better? How is that snake oil? This is a real live testimonial. It's not fake. So I didn't pay this person to come in. They paid me. You know? So this is what we have to deal with in a profession. Imagine being black and being somebody.
So double whammy, right?
Yeah, double whammy. It's like I chose one struggle I chose, the other one I just born with. So it's like I chose this, and especially during the pandemic, you know, you get to watch other providers get hailed as superheroes. When lo and behold, we get to see that a lot of that stuff was fluff. And now a lot of them probably did help people, but we get to see that the real problem was the lifestyle, because they're going to push out another disease. And if your body's not in shape for it, the weak won't make it.
After sharing your journey with us, right? Where does Miami Spine go from here?
Well, I just want to find more ways to help more people, right? And it's really tricky because I can only help so many, right? I'm just one man. But I try to put out information to where people can help themselves, you know, because my dad always said the best doctor is in the mirror. You know when something's wrong, and you probably cause a lot of it. So coming to see a chiropractor is amazing. But if you're not exercising, you're not eating right, you're not taking care of yourself mentally, then I don't think that it's only but so much I can do. In chiropractic school, they teach us the three-legged stool. There's three things that cause illness: thoughts, trauma, and toxins. Either something you thought about that's causing stress, or something that's messing with your mind, or some type of thoughts. Trauma, meaning something happened to you, however it was. If you get kicked by a mule, if you get in a car accident, or anything. And toxins. Toxins could be toxic smoke, could be what you're eating, could be what you're ingesting, could be anything, or drinking, whatever. So these are the things that people need to focus on with or without the chiropractor, because if you come see me, you only see me for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. What are you doing for the other 24 or the other 23, right? So that's mainly what I've been trying to push out. And I do other things as well. We also have a medical spa in the Bahamas that I'm a part of, and we help with weight loss. We're doing a good job with that, and helping with also adjust patients over there as well. So I'm just trying to help as many people, put hands on as many people as I can to help change the way they think about health. Because right now we're in a health prison, right? Because people think that health is taking medication. People think that health is going to the doctor, and that's a complete lie.
Keeps you away from the doctor.
Correct. That's what people need to understand. You want to play keep away. You don't want to go to see any type of physician, for that matter. You know, the more you go in there, the more you'll stay in there. And that's the model that they want. And I get it. Some people were born with things that they just can't control, but you kind of want to put yourself in the best situation to not be in that predicament, if possible.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dr. Randall, thank you for sharing the time with a Trying Life. It's largely appreciated. I like what you're doing here. You know, the space is phenomenal.
Appreciate that.
All the equipment downstairs, all the different treatment rooms. You know, place is clean. You know, and I like to say, big up to your wife for designing. She did a great job. Right? And I want to wish you all the best in the future for Miami Spine, you know, and all the clients in the world.
It's a big world, man. It's a lot of people.
You know, but thanks again, viewers, for watching another episode of A Trying Life. And please do remember that everything is hard before it's easy, and persistence is to try. Have a good one.